What if I told you that one war killed more Europeans than World War I, devastated entire nations, and did not even start for the reason most people think? The 30 Years' War is remembered as a religious war between Catholics and Protestants. But that is not what really happened. This was a war about power, money, and who controlled Europe, and religion was just the excuse. In the early 1600s, Europe was not made of modern countries. It was a fragmented web of hundreds of semi-independent states inside what was called the Holy Roman Empire. Some were large kingdoms, and some were tiny city-states. They all answered loosely to the emperor, but in practice they acted on their own. Each had its own ruler, its own army, its own laws, and its own religion. The emperor was from the powerful Habsburg family. The Habsburgs also ruled Spain, parts of Italy, and huge colonial territories. This made them the most powerful dynasty in Europe. Many of the German princes feared that the emperor wanted to turn the empire into a centralized absolute monarchy. They wanted to protect their independence. Religion made this tension much worse. After the Protestant Reformation, many regions became Lutheran or Calvinist, while others remained Catholic. Religion was not just belief. It determined who ruled, who paid taxes, and who controlled church land and wealth. In 1555, the Peace of Augsburg tried to calm things down. It declared that each ruler could choose whether their territory would be Catholic or Lutheran. But it did not recognize Calvinism, and it did nothing to stop political rivalry. It simply froze a fragile system that was already breaking. By the early 1600s, tensions were extremely high. When a Catholic Habsburg became King of Bohemia, a largely Protestant region, many feared he would take away their religious and political rights. In 1618, Protestant nobles in Prague confronted to Catholic officials sent by the king. They accused them of violating their freedoms. Then they threw them out of a castle window. Miraculously, the men survived, but the message was clear. The Bohemians were in open rebellion against the emperor. The emperor responded by sending an army. The rebels were crushed at the Battle of White Mountain. Their lands were confiscated. Their leaders were executed. Bohemia was forcibly re-Catholicized. This should have ended the conflict. Instead, it convinced other Protestant rulers that the emperor was a threat to all of them. Soon, Denmark entered the war to defend Protestant interests. The Danish king was defeated by imperial forces. Then Sweden entered under King Gustavus Adolphus, one of the greatest generals of the age. He led a modern professional army and won stunning victories against the empire. Beatispoint, the was Germany. It had become a struggle for control of Europe. Then something shocking happened. Catholic, France entered the war on the Protestant side. France was ruled by Cardinal Richelieu, who understood that religion did not matter as much as power. He feared being surrounded by Habsburg lands. So he was willing to fight fellow Catholics to break Habsburg dominance. This turned the war into a massive geopolitical conflict. France, Sweden, Spain, the Empire, and dozens of smaller states were now involved. The armies that fought were mostly mercenaries. They were paid poorly and often not at all. So they survived by stealing from civilians. Villages were burned. Food was taken. People were killed. Plague and starvation followed wherever the armies marched. Some regions of Germany lost half their population. Farm fields went untended, trade collapsed, cities emptied. The land itself seemed cursed. The war dragged on for 30 years because no side could afford to lose and no side could fully win. Every victory simply led to more enemies joining the fight. Finally, in 1648, all sides were exhausted. They signed the Peace of Westphalia after years of negotiation. It ended the war and reshaped Europe. The treaty recognized the sovereignty of hundreds of states. Each was free to govern itself. Each could choose its religion. The power of the emperor was permanently weakened. This was the birth of the modern international system, a world of independent states instead of universal empires. The real lesson of the 30 Years' War is not about religion, it is about incentives. When power is unbalanced and there is no system to resolve conflict, violence becomes inevitable. It was a market failure where the price was human lives. The 30 Years' War showed what happens when power is mispriced and fear drives decision-making. Systems break. Societies collapse, and millions of people pay the cost. Welcome to Information Arbitrage. Outthink the crowd.